The following are 5 simple questions for the evolution believer. If you can answer these questions with true scientific validity, I will then give more serious consideration to evolution theory. If you cannot, then perhaps you might wish to rethink your beliefs regarding evolution. Number 1. Dr. Andrew Knoll, an ardent evolutionist and professor of biology at Harvard University, the author of Life on a Young Planet, in a July 2004 PBS Nova interview said, quote, "The short answer is, we don't really know how life originated on this planet. We have some ideas, but we remain in substantial ignorance." Question number 1. If we do not know how life originated, how can we then say that an evolutionary process leading back to origins is fact? Question number 2. Here is what we know about DNA. DNA is the building block of all 2 million known species of life. Each species has its own unique DNA code. We are now in the process of unlocking this complex language of DNA, and we have discovered that indeed the DNA code has letters, syntax, sequences, and purpose. In short, DNA code meets all the definitions of a true language. DNA language is the only true language known to exist that was not created by man. In other words, all other languages known to man exist as a result of intelligence. In light of these known facts, how did DNA get here? How did it originate in over 2 million unique ways? How does a language with purpose randomly originate, and why, when we have never observed the random, non-purposed origination of any other language known to man? Number 3, if evolution is a fact, how did the sexes originate? Why is it that the vast majority of living things require a male and female to reproduce? If evolution was true, doesn't it make much more sense that every living organism was self-replicating and required no useless energy expenditure of the sexual act? When did the first male get here? When did the first female get here? How did they get here? Why did they get here? Wouldn't they have had to appear fully functional and at the same time in order for the next generation of any given organism to arrive? Well, of course they would. So how is it that the first female and the first male for almost 2 million living organisms arrived together and fully functional so that reproduction could take place? Dr. Graham Bell, another ardent evolutionist, in his book, The Masterpiece of Nature, The Evolution of Genetics and Sexuality, says, quote, "Sex is the queen of all evolutionary biology problems." Question number 4. If evolution is a fact, then how do we explain the uniqueness of man? Over 2 million species of life on the earth, and nothing even comes close to man's intelligence and dominion over all the other living things? It appears, according to the anthropic principle, that everything has been placed here for man and man alone. If man were removed from the planet would survive just fine. However, if any one single other major element of Earth were removed, it would eventually die. The closest animal to man in intelligence is reported to be the chimpanzee. Yet chimps swing in trees and eat bananas. Man writes books, invents technologies, flies through the air, travels to space, uses computers, drives in cars that he invented and manufactured. Man makes fire, cooks his food, grows his food, produces food for other animals, and on and on. You get the point. Nothing compares to man out of 2 million known forms of life. If evolution were true, how could this be? And number 5, if evolution is fact, then how do you explain the origin of human language? Why do only humans possess language out of over 2 million total species of life? We know that other life forms have forms of rudimentary communication, but no other life form has a language system defined by letters, alphabet, syntax, rules, and purpose. Man is the only living thing to use this language to produce literature, art, media, mass communication, and to develop technologies to transfer this mass communication. Man is the only living thing to pass on generational knowledge and to amass libraries and to produce systems to store generational knowledge. Doesn't it make sense that as over 2 million known forms of life were, quote, evolving, that more than 1 in 2 million would have developed some type of language? Why only man? How could it be that the complex system of human language randomly evolved and then just happens to be learned by only the brain of a human child. In his book, Eve Spoke, evolutionist Philip Lieberman admitted, "Speech is so essential to our concept of intelligence that its possession is virtually equated with being human. Animals who talk are human, because what sets us apart from all the other animals is the, quote, gift of speech." Now, Mr. Evolutionist, before you even attempt to, quote, answer these 5 questions, please remember that it is also a fact, as evidenced by the quotes that I gave from prominent evolutionists, that while there are a few conflicting and controversial theories floating around in the fairy tale world of evolution concerning these 5 questions, you must remember that there are no scientifically valid, hard answers to any of these 5 questions. That is why I asked them. They are each evolutionary conundrums. In light of this fact, please, if you speak of evolution to me, please at least be honest enough to present it as a theory, woefully devoid of real scientific fact, I might add. Please at least be that honest, but do not tell me that evolution is fact, because nothing could be further from the truth. And so, since evolution cannot answer with scientific validity and hard evidence how we got here, why we got here, when we got here, how DNA originated, when DNA originated, why DNA originated, why there are male and female of almost every living thing, how male and female got here, when male and female got here, why out of 2 million forms of life, only one form has absolute dominion over all the others, and why only one form of 2 million forms of life has the unique ability of speech, since evolution cannot even begin to answer these questions, admitted by your own experts. Why would you believe that evolution is fact? Isn't that just a bit silly?